You wake up in a dusty, lawless town, no phone, no rules, and absolutely no mercy. The Wild West isn't a movie. It's a trap. And trust me, you're not ready for what's coming at sundown. Why, you wouldn't survive a single day in the Wild West. A harsh sleep story. A gentle bedtime story in 5 chapters. Designed for peaceful sleep through soft contrast. Chapter 1: Wake up in the wild, no comfort, no safety. You wake. Slowly, consciousness drifting back to you like smoke rising from dying embers. The first thing you notice is the straw beneath your body, poking through thin fabric that barely deserves the name of mattress. Each piece of dried grass finds its way through the rough burlap, pressing against your spine, your shoulders, your hip bones. The bed frame creaks, a sound that echoes through the small cabin. Wood so dry it might snap under the slightest pressure. You shift, and the entire structure groans, protesting your movement, reminding you that everything here is temporary, fragile, built to last just long enough. There is no gentle hum of central heating, no warm air flowing through hidden vent zone. Instead, the morning air bites at your skin, seeping through gaps in the wooden walls. Gaps wide enough to slide a coin through. The wind outside whistles, a lonely sound that seems to carry stories of endless plains, of dust storms, of isolation that stretches beyond the horizon. You reach instinctively for your phone, but your hand finds only rough wood, splintered edges of a makeshift nightstand. There is no glowing screen, no connection to the world, no weather forecast to tell you if today will bring sun or snow. No messages waiting, no gentle chimes to ease you into consciousness. Just silence, broken only by the settling of old timber and the distant sound of boots on boardwalks. Your eyes adjust to the dim light filtering through a single window. The glass is thick, uneven, creating strange ripples in your view of the world outside. Through it, you see a street made of dirt, already stirring with dust as the morning wind picks up. There are no streetlights to dim, no traffic sounds to fade, just the occasional creak of a sign swaying in the breeze, and the soft nickering of horses somewhere in the distance. You sit up and immediately miss the softness you've always known. The pillows at home, filled with down, that cradle your head just so. Here, there is only a sack stuffed with more straw, lumpy, uneven, offering no real comfort. Your neck aches from the night, a dull pain that reminds you how much you've always taken for granted. The floorboards are cold beneath your bare feet, each board worn smooth by countless boots, but still rough enough to catch at your skin. You stand, and the entire cabin seems to shift around you. as if the walls themselves are unsure of their purpose. There is no carpet to cushion your steps, no heated floors, just raw wood that creaks and groans with every movement. In the corner, a basin sits on a simple wooden stand. The water inside is cold, so cold it makes your fingers ache when you dip them in. There is no hot water heater humming quietly in another room, no instant warmth at the turn of a handle, just this basin, filled the night before, now carrying a thin skin of ice that breaks under your touch like the most fragile glass. You splash the frigid water on your face, and the shock of it makes you gasp. Your breath comes out in small clouds, visible in the morning air, reminding you that winter here is not something to be controlled, but something to be endured, survived. The cold seeps into your bones, settles there like it plans to stay. Your clothes, hanging on a wooden peg, are the same ones you wore yesterday. There is no closet full of clean options, no washing machine humming in a distant room. Just these few items, worn, patched, carrying the dust and sweat of previous days. The fabric is rough against your skin, coarse wool that scratches, cotton so heavy it feels like armor. Outside, the town is beginning to stir. You hear the sound of someone chopping wood, the rhythmic thunk, 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 that speaks of morning chores that cannot be avoided. Someone calls to someone else, their voice carrying across the empty spaces a reminder that neighbors here are both blessing and necessity. Too far away to help quickly, close enough to hear when trouble comes deep. You look out that rippled window again and see a woman walking past, her dress long, practical, no beauty in it, just function. She carries a bucket, her back straight despite the weight. Her face is weathered, aged by sun and wind and the constant pressure of survival. She looks neither left nor right, focused only on the task ahead, on making it through another day. A dog trots by, thin, alert, its eyes constantly scanning for threats or opportunities. Nothing here is purely for companionship. Everything serves a purpose, has a job, earns its place or perishes. The dog's ribs show through its fur, a reminder that food is never guaranteed, never wasted, never taken for granted. You think of your morning routine at home. The coffee maker programmed the night before, filling your kitchen with rich aromas while you still sleep. The newspaper delivered to your door. The weather app showing you exactly what to expect. The shower with endless hot water, washing away the previous day as if it never happened. The closet full of clean clothes, soft fabrics, colors chosen for beauty rather than durability. Here, there is no routine except survival, no coffee, only chicory if you're fortunate, bitter, weak, but warm. No news except what travelers bring, and travelers are rare, dangerous, not always to be trusted. No shower, no endless hot water, just that basin, that cold water, and the understanding that cleanliness is a luxury few can afford. You dress slowly, your fingers stiff from the cold. Each piece of clothing feels heavy, purposeful, made to last because replacement is not guaranteed. The boots are thick, hard, designed to protect rather than comfort. They will rub blisters, leave your feet aching, but they will keep you walking when softer shoes would fall apart. The silence, you notice, is different here. At home, silence means the absence of noise, but underneath, there's always something. The hum of electricity, the distant sound of traffic, the reassuring buzz of a world that never truly sleeps. Here, silence is absolute, profound, almost frightening in its completeness. It presses against your ears, makes you aware of your own heartbeat, your own breathing. You step toward the door and pause, your hand on the rough iron handle, knowing that once you open it, once you step outside, there is no safety net, no backup plan, no emergency services, just a phone call away. Just you and a world that doesn't care whether you survive or not. A world where every decision matters, where every mistake could be your last. The door opens with a groan, hinges protesting, and the morning air hits you like a physical force. Dry, carrying the scent of dust and distant sage, of wood smoke and leather, of a world that smells like work, like survival, like the thin line between life and death. You step outside, onto a wooden walkway that creaks under your weight. The boards are warped, uneven, some missing entirely, creating gaps that could catch an unwary foot, twist an ankle, leave you helpless in a place where helplessness means death. Below you, the street is dirt, already stirring with the morning breeze, promising to coat everything, everyone, in a fine layer of grit, and you realize, as you stand there, breathing that harsh morning air, feeling the cold seep through your clothes, missing the warmth of your modern bed, the safety of your modern world, you realize that you haven't even made it through your first morning, and already the Wild West is winning. The sun rises, painting the sky in shades of gold and red, beautiful, yes, but harsh, unforgiving, promising another day of heat and dust and danger. Another day of survival in a world that was never meant to be comfortable, never meant to be safe, never meant to be easy. You take a deep breath, taste the dust on your tongue, and wonder if you'll make it to sunset. Wonder if anyone would even notice. if you didn't. Chapter 2, No Food, No Rules. Welcome to lawless hunger. Your stomach, it gnaws at you. A dull ache that grows sharper with each passing moment. There is no refrigerator humming quietly in the next room. No pantry stocked with easy meals. No corner store just a short walk away. Just hunger raw and immediate, demanding attention you cannot give. You wander through the dusty streets of this frontier town, your footsteps echoing hollowly on the wooden walkways, looking, searching for something, anything, that might quiet the growing emptiness inside you. The morning sun climbs higher, hotter, and with it comes the understanding that finding food here is not a matter of convenience, but of desperation. A few buildings line the main street, their wooden facades weathered gray by countless storms. Paint peels in long strips, curling like old skin, revealing the raw timber beneath. Signs hang crooked, words faded, advertising goods that may or may not exist, services that may or may not be available, depending on luck, on timing, on whether you have something to trade. You pause before what might be a general store. The windows are thick with dust, making it impossible to see inside. The door stands slightly ajar, creaking softly in the morning breeze. From within comes the scent of something, flour perhaps, or dried beans. The smell of food, any food, makes your stomach clench with need. Inside, the store is dim, cramped, shelves lined with tins that bear no familiar labels. Sacks of grain that might be wheat, might be something else entirely. Everything is covered in a fine layer of dust, as if the very air here carries the grit of the surrounding desert. The shopkeeper, if there is one, is nowhere to be seen. Perhaps sleeping, perhaps dead, perhaps simply gone to find food of his own. You reach toward a tin, and a voice stops you cold. That'll cost you. The words come from the shadows, from a figure you hadn't noticed, couldn't see. A man emerges, thin, hollow, cheeked, his eyes the color of winter sky. Cold, calculating, weighing your worth in a single glance. Cost me what? You ask, though you already know the answer will not be simple, will not be fair. Nothing here is simple, nothing is fair. Everything is negotiation, survival. The strong taking from the weak, because that is the only law that matters. He names a price, and it might as well be a king's ransom. For silver coins you do not have, for gold dust that exists only in dreams. You reach into your pockets, find them empty, lighter than air. Your stomach growls, audible in the silence, a sound that makes the man's eyes narrow, calculating, dangerous, perhaps, he says, his voice soft, deceptively gentle. We can arrange something else. His gaze travels over you, assessing, measuring, determining what you might be worth, what you might be willing to do. For a handful of dried beans, for a piece of bread hard enough to break teeth, you back away slowly, carefully, not wanting to seem threatening, not wanting to provoke. In this world, you are learning. Provocation can mean death, can mean worse than death. The door, that blessed door, seems impossibly far away. The sunlight beyond it, harsh but honest, better than the calculating darkness of this place. Outside again, the street seems wider, emptier. The few people moving about their business eye you with suspicion or indifference or something that might be pity but probably isn't. Pity is a luxury, like food, like safety, like tomorrow. Not everyone can afford it. You remember breakfast at home, toast popping up golden, coffee brewing automatically, eggs and bacon, and orange juice. Food appearing as if by magic, never questioning where it came from, never doubting it would be there. The refrigerator full of choices, the cabinet stocked with abundance. Waste, so much waste, and never a thought about it. Here, a discarded apple core is a treasure, fought over by dogs and children with equal desperation, scraps that at home would go in the garbage. Here are examined, sniffed, considered for their potential, their possibility. Nothing is thrown away, nothing is wasted, because nothing can be replaced. You walk and walk, the sun climbing higher, your shadow growing shorter. Heat radiates from the packed earth, from the wooden buildings, from the very air itself. Your throat grows parched, but water, clean water, is as precious as food, more precious perhaps. You can live days without food, hours without water. In this heat, in this dryness, a saloon, its batwing doors swinging lazily, promises liquid, but liquid that will make things worse, not better. Whiskey to burn away thought, beer to cloud judgment, nothing to nourish, nothing to sustain, just forgetting, temporary, costly, dangerous forgetting. Children run past, their clothes patched and re-patched, their faces smudged with dirt that might never come clean. They are thin, all of them, but their eyes are bright, alert. They know things you do not, survival things, street things, how to find food where none exists, how to take it when necessary, how to run when taking fails. One pauses, stares at you with curious eyes, sees something in your face, your posture, that marks you as different, as weak as prey. The child, no more than 10, has the eyes of someone much older, someone who has seen things, done things, survived things that would break a softer soul. You hungry? The child asks, not a question, a statement. Recognizing hunger the way a tracker recognizes animal signs, by instinct, by experience, by the hard, one knowledge that comes from living on the edge of survival. You nod, unable to trust your voice, and the child considers this, weighs it, decides something, got something. The child says, cost you though, even here, even from this small person. Everything has a price. Kindness is commerce. Mercy is trade. The child leads you down an alley, narrow, shadowed, where the smell of refuse mingles with wood smoke, where rats scurry between broken crates, where danger might lurk behind every corner, but you follow, because hunger makes you brave, or foolish, or desperate enough that the distinction no longer matters. Behind a building, in a space barely large enough for two people, the child produces something from a hidden cache. Bread, if it can be called bread, hard as stone, spotted with mold, but bread nonetheless. Food, sustenance, life, 2 bits. The child says, holding the precious morsel just out of reach, and you realize you have nothing, no money, no possessions, no trade goods, nothing to offer except what? Your clothes, already worn, your boots, necessary for walking, your dignity, your safety, your future. The child sees your hesitation, your calculation, and shrugs, begins to put the bread away. In this world, sentiment is death, kindness is weakness. You either have value or you don't. You either pay or you starve. Simple, harsh, final. Wait, you say, and the child pauses, expectant. You remove your watch, the one linked to home, to time as you understand it, to a world where minutes matter, because there are so many of them. Here, time is measured differently, in heartbeats, in breaths, in the space between one meal and the next. The child examines the watch, turns it over, listens to its ticking, nods, makes the trade. The bread is yours. Hard, bitter, tinged with flavors you don't recognize, don't want to recognize, but it is food. It is life. It is another few hours of existence in a world that offers no guarantees. You chew slowly, carefully, letting saliva soften what can be softened, swallowing what cannot. Each bite is victory. Small, temporary, but victory nonetheless. Your stomach receives this offering, grateful for anything, demanding more, always more. But there is no more. The child is gone, vanished back into the maze of alleys and shadows, taking your watch, your connection to another world, leaving you with the taste of survival, bitter, difficult, but real. The sun reaches its zenith, heat pressing down like a physical weight. Your brief meal, inadequate as it was, begins its work, giving you strength, clarity, the ability to think beyond the immediate knowing of hunger, to plan, to scheme, to consider what comes next, because next will come inevitable as the sunset, as the rising of tomorrow's sun. Next will demand more food, more water, more choices between dignity and survival, more compromises, more pieces of yourself traded away for the simple privilege of breathing, of walking, of lasting another day. You think of lunch at home, sandwiches made with care, fresh ingredients, variety, choice, flavors chosen for pleasure rather than necessity, restaurants with menace, groceries with aisles, abundance so complete it breeds waste, indifference, the luxury of being picky, of throwing away what doesn't please. Here, pleasure is irrelevant, taste is secondary. Food is fuel, nothing more, nothing less. Either it keeps you alive, or it doesn't. Either you get it or you starve. Simple equations, harsh mathematics, the arithmetic of survival. The afternoon stretches ahead, long, hot, promising more hunger, more thirst, more desperate searching, more trading away of pieces of yourself, your possessions, your dignity, your hope, all for the chance, just the chance, to see another sunrise, to face another day of the same. You walk back toward the main street, your steps slower now, more careful, conserving energy, learning already, adapting, becoming something different, something harder, something that might, just might survive. But survival, you are beginning to understand, is not living. It is simply not dying, and the distance between those two things, in this place-time, in this time, is vast as the prairie, deep as the sky, and just as unforgiving. Chapter 3, Sickness is a death sentence, and you're already coughing. The cough starts. Quietly, almost politely, a small clearing of the throat that you barely notice, barely acknowledge, but it grows, as these things do, becoming more insistent, more demanding, until each breath carries with it a roughness, a catching that makes you pause, makes you listen, makes you afraid. You touch your forehead and find heat there, not the heat of the sun, but something deeper, something that comes from within, spreading through your body like spilled ink through paper, slow, inevitable, staining everything it touches. Your hand trembles just slightly as you lower it. The first sign that something inside you is changing, breaking, failing. In your modern world, this would mean nothing. A visit to the doctor, a prescription, antibiotics that would chase away the infection like morning sun chases shadows. Rest in a comfortable bed, soup delivered hot, medicine measured precisely, healing as predictable as sunrise, as certain as your next paycheck. But here, in this place, in this time, sickness wears a different face, carries a different message. You look around, at the dusty street, at the weathered buildings, at the few people moving about their business, and realize there is no hospital here, no emergency room with bright lights and capable hands, no ambulance waiting to carry you to safety. Just this, just you, just the growing certainty that your body is betraying you at the worst possible moment. A woman passes, her skirts stirring the dust, and you want to ask, want to know, where do people go when they fall ill? But her eyes, hard as winter stone, warn you away. Tell you without words that sickness here is weakness, is vulnerability, is something to be hidden, denied, overcome or succumb to in private, though. The cough comes again, deeper now, rattling in your chest like dried leaves in autumn wind. You taste something metallic, something that should not be there, and the fear, real fear, settles in your stomach like a cold stone. This is not a cold, not something that will pass with rest and time. This is something else, something that in this place, in this time, might be everything. You remember the stories, the history lessons, about frontier medicine, about settlements where sickness swept through like wildfire, taking the weak, the unlucky, the unprepared, where a simple infection could become a death sentence, where fever meant delirium, where delirium meant the end of thinking, of knowing, of being. Your legs feel less steady, less reliable. Each step requires conscious effort, conscious decision. The simple act of walking, something you've never questioned, never doubted, becomes uncertain, provisional. Your body, always so obedient, so predictable, begins to whisper its rebellion, its doubt, its growing inability to carry you where you need to go. A building ahead, larger than the others, might offer help, might offer hope. You approach, your breathing shallow now, careful. Each inhalation a negotiation with the growing tightness in your chest. The sign above the door, painted in faded letters, reads simply, Dr. Morrison. The word doctor, like a prayer, like salvation, like the answer to fears you're only beginning to understand. Inside, the smell hits you first. Carbolic acid, harsh, chemical, mixed with something else, something organic, something that speaks of blood and pain and bodies that haven't healed. The waiting area, if it can be called that, consists of 2 wooden chairs, hard, uncomfortable, occupied by people who look wrong. Somehow, their faces gray, their eyes dull, their breathing labored. A man sits hunched, his hand pressed to his side, dark stains seeping through his fingers. His face is pale, sweaty, the kind of pallor that comes from pain, from loss, from the growing understanding that help, when it comes, may not be enough. He looks at you, nods slightly, a greeting between the wounded, the worried, the walking dead. From behind a closed door comes the sound, low moaning, rhythmic, like a prayer or a curse, punctuated by sharper cries. Sudden, desperate, the sounds of medicine as it was practiced here, without anesthesia, without gentleness, with only will and whiskey and the hope that the patient would survive the cure. Your cough comes again, violent this time, shaking your whole body. The taste in your mouth grows stronger, more metallic, more wrong. The other patients, those waiting, those hoping, look at you with something that might be sympathy, might be fear, might be the recognition of something they've seen before, something they know, the ending to. Hours pass, or what feels like hours. Time moves differently when you're sick, when you're scared, when you're waiting for help that may not come. The sun outside shifts, shadows change too. But inside this place, this halfway house between health and death, time stands still, holds its breath, waits. Finally, the door opens. A man emerges, tall, thin, his white coat more gray than white, stained with substances you don't want to identify. His hands, those healing hands, are rough, scarred, the hands of someone who works not just with medicine, but with carpentry, with farming, with whatever needs doing to survive in this place. Next, he says, his voice tired, infinitely weary, carrying the weight of too much suffering, too many failures, too many graves dug by those who came seeking help and found only the limits of what frontier medicine can offer. He looks at you, sees the fever in your eyes, the tightness in your breathing, nods grimly. Come on, then. His office, examination room, surgery, all one space, contains a table. Hard wood, worn smooth by countless bodies. A cabinet filled with bottles whose contents you cannot identify. Instruments that look more like torture devices than healing tools. Everything is functional. Nothing is comfortable. This is medicine stripped to its essence, brutal, direct, often ineffective. Let me listen, he says, producing a stethoscope. Primitive compared to what you're used to. He places it against your chest, listens, his face growing more grave with each breath you take, each rattle, each wheezy. How long? He asks. And you tell him hours, maybe a day, not long in the terms you understand, but here, in this place, a lifetime. He sits back, considers, calculates odds you cannot see, cannot understand. Lung fever, he says finally, the words like a sentence, like a judgment. Seen it before. Sometimes they pull through. Sometimes. He shrugs, the gesture carrying all the helplessness of a medicine that can diagnose, but cannot always cure. Cannot always save. What can you do? You ask, though you're beginning to suspect the answer, beginning to understand that in this time, in this place, the question is not what can be done, but what little might be tried. Keep you warm, give you some whiskey for the pain, maybe some willow bark tea if I can find it. After that, another shrug. After that, it's up to you, your constitution, your will to live. No antibiotics, no IV fluids, no oxygen, no monitors to track your vitals, no team of specialists, no backup plans, just whiskey, willow bark, warmth, and whatever strength you can find within yourself. Whatever determination, whatever refusal to surrender that might carry you through the long nights ahead. He reaches into his cabinet, produces a bottle, brown glass, contents unknown. Take a sip when the pain gets bad, not too much. This has to last, because even whiskey, even this crude anesthetic, is precious, rationed, not to be wasted on lost causes. And rest, if you can find a place. Stay warm, stay dry, and he pauses, looks at you with eyes that have seen too much. Pray. If you're the praying kind, you pay him the last of your money. Coins that at home would buy a coffee, here buy a consultation, a diagnosis, a handful of hope that feels lighter than air, more fragile than spun glass. He nods, turns away, already thinking about the next patient, the next impossible case, the next small battle in his ongoing war against death and suffering. Outside again, the air feels different. Thinner, less reliable. Each breath is work now. Conscious effort. Your legs shake, just slightly, but enough to remind you that walking, simple walking, is no longer guaranteed, no longer automatic. The fever builds behind your eyes, making the world shimmer, making distances uncertain, making everything feel distant, unreal. You think of illness at home, how different it would be. The comfortable bed, the thermostat set just right, medicine that actually works, doctors with training, with equipment, with options, recovery measured in days, not survival measured in hours. The certainty, the blessed certainty that help exists, that healing is possible, that tomorrow will be better than today. Here, tomorrow is questionable, recovery is hope, survival is victory. Your body, reliable for so long, begins its rebellion, its breakdown, its slow surrender to forces beyond your control. beyond anyone's control. The fever climbs, the cough deepens due, and with each symptom comes the growing understanding that in this place, in this time, being sick is not an inconvenience. It is a death sentence, served slowly, mercilessly, with only whiskey and prayer as appeals, only will and constitution as defense, only the thin hope that your body, your stranger body, is stronger than the sickness that grows within it like a dark flower, blooming toward some terrible fruition. Night approaches, and with it comes the understanding that darkness, in your condition, in this place you will bring challenges you cannot imagine, cannot prepare for, cannot survive without help that may not come, may not exist, may not be possible. The cough echoes, lonely, desperate, in the gathering dusk, and you wonder if morning will find you still breathing, still fighting, still hoping, or if the Wild West will claim another victim, another soul too soft, too unprepared, too modern for the harsh realities of a world where sickness means death, and death comes easy as breathing, as natural as sunrise, as certain as dust. Chapter 4. Everyone has a gun, and you're the outsider. The weight of watching eyes settles on your shoulders like a heavy coat. Every person you pass, every face in every doorway, every figure lounging against weathered posts, they all carry the same message, the same question. What are you? Who are you? And what threat do you represent to their survival, to their secrets, to their carefully maintained balance of power and fear? You walk, slowly now, conserving strength, conserving energy for whatever might come. Your footsteps echo on the wooden walkways, too loud, too obvious, announcing your presence to anyone who cares to listen. And everyone, it seems, cares to listen. Eyes follow your progress, hands drift, almost casually, almost unconsciously, toward the iron at their sides. The guns, you notice them now, everywhere. Hip holsters worn smooth by constant use, shoulder rigs hidden beneath jackets but revealed by telltale bulges, boot guns, sleeve guns, every person armed, every person ready, every person prepared for violence that might come from anywhere. Anyone, even you. A man leans against a porch rail, his hat pulled low, his fingers drumming against the butt of his revolver. Not threatening, not yet, just aware, ready, the way a cat watches a mouse, patient, calculating, waiting for the right moment, the right excuse, the right opportunity. His eyes, cold as winter sky, track your movement, measure your gait, assess your weakness. Oh, you remember gun control at home, laws and regulations, background checks and waiting periods, the complexity of acquiring a weapon, The rarity of seeing one, the shock when you do. Here, guns are tools, like hammers, like knives, like anything else necessary for survival. Oh, visible, accepted, expected do. Their presence as natural as breathing, as common as dirt. A woman emerges from a shop, her dress practical, severe, but at her waist, barely concealed by her shawl, the outline of a small pistol. Even she, even this person you might have approached for help, carries death at her fingertips. Her smile, when she notices you looking, is not unfriendly, but neither is it welcoming. It is the smile of someone who has learned, through experience or through necessity, that strangers are dangerous until proven otherwise. Children play in the dust, their games different from any you remember. They practice drawing, mock gunfights, but with serious faces, concentrated expressions, learning skills that in your world would be make-believe, fantasy, games. Here, they are preparation, training. The difference between living and dying when they grow tall enough to wear iron themselves. You cough, that persistent cough that grows stronger, more violent, and several heads turn, several hands move. A sick stranger is more dangerous than a healthy one, more unpredictable, more likely to do something desperate, something stupid, something that would force them to respond with violence they'd rather avoid, but won't hesitate to use. The saloon ahead, its batwing doors swinging softly, promises temporary shelter, momentary respite, but the sounds from within, the rough laughter, the clink of bottles, the sudden silences that speak of tensions you cannot understand, warn you that refuge comes with its own dangers, its own rules, its own prices to be paid. You pause at the entrance, uncertain, afraid. Your fever makes the decision harder, makes thinking slower, clouds judgment that needs to be sharp, needs to be quick. In your condition, in your weakness, mistakes become fatal, hesitation becomes deadly. Yet rushing forward might be worse, might be the last choice you ever make. A voice, oh, from inside. Come on in, stranger. Don't stand there blocking the light. Not welcoming, not friendly, just expectant. The voice of someone accustomed to being obeyed, accustomed to having his words carry weight, carry threat. The kind of voice that doesn't repeat itself, doesn't ask twice, doesn't tolerate indecision. You push through the doors into a world of shadows and smoky, of whiskey, soaked wood, and unwashed bodies, of conversations that stop when you enter, of eyes that evaluate, that judge, that reach conclusions you cannot see but can feel. Like storm clouds gathering, like thunder before lightning, like the moment before violence breaks loose. The bar, Scarred wood worn smooth by countless elbows, stretches along one wall. Behind it, bottles, some full, some empty, all carrying labels you don't recognize, don't trust. The bartender, massive, solid, moves with deceptive grace. His hands, those capable hands, never far from the shotgun that rests beneath the bar, visible, obvious, a statement of policy clearer than any posted rules. Men sit at tables, playing cards, drinking, talking in low voices that carry undertones of business better left unspoken. Each one armed, each one dangerous, each one sizing you up, measuring your worth, your threat level, your potential as predator or prey. The calculations are swift, efficient, the product of lives lived on the edge. Where mistake means death, you approach the bar, your legs unsteady, your breathing labored. The fever makes the room swim, makes faces blur, makes distances uncertain. Whiskey, you manage, your voice rough, strained, carrying the sound of sickness that makes everyone nervous, makes everyone ready. Something for you cough. For this, the bartender studies you, takes his time, considers options, risks, possibilities. You sick? He states, not asks, the words carrying judgment, carrying decision. Don't want sick around here. Bad for business, bad for everyone. His hand, casual, practiced, comes to rest on the stock of his weapon. Maybe you should move along. But where? Where can you move to? Where can you go? When every place carries the same message, the same hostility, the same barely contained violence, waiting for excuse, for opportunity, for justification. Your cough answers for you, harsh, violent, bringing blood to your lips, bringing fear to every face in the room. Chairs scrape, boots shuffle, the sound of men preparing, positioning, getting ready for whatever might come next. Hands drift to weapons. Conversations die. The room fills with tension thick enough to cut, thick enough to taste. You realize, ooh, with growing clarity, with terrible understanding, that you have become the problem everyone fears, the catalyst everyone expects, the excuse everyone's been waiting for. Easy now, someone says, voice calm, controlled, the kind of calm that comes before storms. No need for trouble, just a sick stranger looking for help. But even this voice, this attempt at peace, carries steel underneath, carries readiness, carries the understanding that peace is temporary, conditional, fragile as glass. You back away, slowly, carefully, not wanting to seem threatening, not wanting to provoke, but knowing, feeling, that provocation might come anyway, might be inevitable, might be the natural conclusion to being different, being weak, being the outsider in a world where outsiders don't last long. The batwing doors, those blessed doors, seem impossibly far away. Each step backward feels like an eternity, like walking through thick water, through resistance that grows stronger with every movement. Your fever makes the room tilt, makes faces blur into threatening shadows, makes every sound echo with potential violence dull. Finally, mercifully, you reach the entrance, push through into the fading daylight, into air that feels clean despite the dust, despite the heat, despite the growing certainty that safety, real safety, exists nowhere in this place, nowhere in this time. The conversations behind you resume, slowly, cautiously, but they resume, and you know you are being discussed, evaluated, judged. The street outside feels different now, more dangerous, more hostile. Every doorway might hide a threat. Every shadow might conceal an enemy. Every sound might be the precursor to violence you cannot escape, cannot survive. Your sickness makes you slow, makes you vulnerable, makes you the perfect target for anyone looking for easy prey. You walk aimlessly, desperately, seeking shelter, seeking safety, seeking some place where guns don't rule, where violence doesn't lurk behind every smile, behind every greeting. But this is the Wild West. This is a world where might makes right, where the strong prey upon the weak, where being unarmed, being sick, being different, marks you for death. A group of men, young, hard-faced, wearing their guns like badges of honor, approach from the opposite direction. Their eyes, bright with whiskey, bright with boredom, bright with the dangerous energy of predators who have found prey, lock onto you. Recognize weakness, recognize opportunity, recognize sport. Well, one calls, his voice carrying across the empty space between you. What have we here? Not a question, a statement, an announcement, a declaration of intent that makes your blood run cold, makes your fever spike, makes your cough return with violent force. They spread out, automatically, instinctively, the movement of pack hunters, cutting off escape routes, blocking paths, creating a circle of threat that tightens with each step. Their hands rest easy on their weapons, comfortable, familiar, the hands of men who have done this before, many times, with predictable results. Or, you don't look well, stranger, another says, false concern dripping from his words like poison from a blade. Maybe you need some help, some assistance. The others laugh, hard, cold, the sound of men who have forgotten or never learned that mercy exists, that compassion is possible, that cruelty is a choice. Your mind races, fever, clouded but desperate, seeking escape, seeking solution, seeking any way out of this circle of death that tightens around you like a noose. But your body, your betraying body, shakes with sickness, with fear, with the growing understanding that these men, these predators, have no interest in mercy, in fairness, in anything except the entertainment your suffering might provide. Please, you manage. The word torn from your throat, carried on breath that tastes of blood, of defeat, of surrender. I don't want trouble, just looking for. But they're not listening. Don't care about your words, your explanations, your pleas. They see only weakness, only opportunity, only the chance to practice their craft on someone too sick, too weak, too gentle to fight back. The leader, the one with the coldest eyes, the cruelest smile, draws his weapon slowly, theatrically, the motion smooth, practiced, beautiful in its deadly efficiency. The gun, black iron and polished wood, catches the dying light, reflects it back like captured fire, like concentrated death. No, he says, voice soft, almost gentle, the tone of someone savoring a moment, extending pleasure, drawing out anticipation. Let's see what you're made of. Let's see if you're worth the powder it would take to put you down. The others spread wider, giving him room, giving him space, but staying close enough to ensure you cannot run, cannot escape, cannot do anything but stand there and wait and hope for mercy from men who have forgotten what the word means. Your hand, trembling, useless, moves instinctively toward your waist, toward where a gun should be, would be, if you were the kind of person who carried death at your fingertips, who solved problems with violence, who lived by the harsh mathematics of survival. But you are not that person, will never be that person, and your empty hand finds only air, only absence, only the terrible understanding of how helpless you really are. They see the gesture, see the emptiness, see the reality of your situation, and their laughter, harsh, victorious, fills the air like poison, like the sound of carrion birds celebrating a fresh kill. No iron, the leader observes, almost sadly, as if disappointed by the lack of sport, the absence of challenge. Just another pilgrim, another soft one from back east, another fool who thought he could survive out here. The gun rises, black barrel tracking toward you with mechanical precision, with inevitable certainty. Time slows, the way time does in moments of absolute crisis, absolute terror. You can see everything. The worn grip, the scratched metal, the steady hand that holds it, the eyes behind it, cold, calculating, already looking past this moment, toward whatever entertainment might follow, and in that stretched moment, that eternal second before the hammer falls, Lord, before the powder burns, before the lead flies, you understand, with perfect clarity, with terrible comprehension, that this is how it ends, not with illness, not with starvation, not with any of the slow deaths you had imagined, but with sudden violence, arbitrary, senseless, final, the Wild West, this harsh land, this unforgiving time, does not kill you slowly, does not give you time to adapt, to learn, to become something harder, something capable of survival. It kills you quickly, efficiently, without ceremony, without regret, simply because you are different, because you are weak, because you made the mistake of being born in the wrong time, the wrong place, the wrong world. Your last thought, as the gun steadies E, as the finger tightens, as death prepares to speak its final word, is of home, of safety, of a world where guns are rare, where violence is aberration, where law means protection rather than the tyranny of the strong over the weak. A world you realize too late, too finally, that you will never see again. The hammer draws back, the click loud as thunder in the sudden silence, and you close your eyes and wait and remember what it felt like once upon a time to be safe, to be protected, to be home. Chapter 5, Nightfall, is worse. Darkness means death. The sun. That cruel sun that has tormented you all day begins its descent toward the western horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. Beautiful. Yes, but carrying with it a message more terrifying than any beauty. Night is coming, darkness is approaching, and with it, horrors you cannot imagine, cannot prepare for, cannot survive. The gunmen, those harbingers of death, have moved on, satisfied for now with humiliation rather than murder, leaving you alive but changed, marked, wounded in ways that have nothing to do with the fever burning in your chest. You stand in the dusty street alone, abandoned, watching the light fade and understanding, with growing terror, that nightfall in this place, in this time, is not rest, not peace, not the gentle end to another day. It is hunting season, and you are the prey. Already, even with the sun still visible, the shadows grow longer, deeper, more dangerous. Places that seemed merely unwelcoming in daylight now reveal their true nature, their hidden threats, their secret hungers. The town, such as it is, begins to change, to transform, to show its night face, its predator face, its true face. Windows that were simply dirty now become watching eyes, blank, dark, hiding observers you cannot see but can feel, studying you, measuring you, determining your worth, your weakness, your potential as victim or threat. Doors that were merely closed now seem barricaded, fortified, protecting secrets you don't want to know, sheltering violence you don't want to meet. The few people still visible on the street move differently now, quickly, purposefully, with the urgent stride of those who know, who understand that being caught outside after dark is not inconvenience, not discomfort, but death sentence served by creatures that emerge only when the sun dies, only when darkness gives them cover, gives them opportunity, gives them hunting ground. You cough. That persistent cough that grows worse with each hour, and the sound echoes strangely in the thickening gloom, carries farther than it should, announces your presence to things that listen for weakness. That hunt by sound, by scent, by the desperate breathing of the sick, the lost, the doomed, your fever spikes, making the growing shadows dance, making distances uncertain, making threats real and imagined blur together into one long nightmare. A dog howls somewhere in the distance, but the sound is wrong, too deep, too intelligent, too hungry. Not the voice of a domesticated animal, but something wilder, something that remembers, that knows, that waits for darkness to reclaim what civilization has temporarily stolen. The sound raises the hair on your neck, sends ice through your veins, despite the fever, warns of hungers that cannot be reasoned with, cannot be bargained with, cannot be escaped. You need shelter, desperately, immediately, before full dark arrives, and with it the things that hunt in shadow, that feed on weakness, that know, somehow know, that you are sick, alone, defenseless, perfect prey for whatever stalks these streets when honest folk bar their doors and pray for dawn. But where can you go? Where can you hide when every door is closed, every face is turned away? Every offer of help comes with prices you cannot, will not, dare not pay. The hotel, if the broken down building ahead can claim such a grand name, offers possibility, hope, the promise of walls, of locks, of some barrier between you and whatever emerges when darkness falls complete awe. You approach, your steps unsteady, your breathing labored, your vision swimming with fever and fear, and the growing certainty that time is running out, running fast, running toward a conclusion you cannot survive. Inside, the lobby is dim, shadowed, lit only by a single oil lamp that flickers, wavers, threatens to die at any moment and leave you in absolute darkness, absolute vulnerability, absolute terror. Behind a desk worn smooth by countless desperate hands, a man sits, old, weathered, his eyes holding depths you don't want to explore, secrets you don't want to know. He looks up as you enter, studies you, measures you, calculates your worth with the cold precision of an undertaker. Room, you manage, the word torn from your throat, carried on breath that tastes of blood and defeat and growing desperation, need a room for the night. Though you wonder, even as you say it, whether morning will find you still needing anything, still capable of need, still breathing, still alive. He names a price exorbitant, impossible, the cost of a room that should be pennies demanded in silver, in gold, in desperate trade from someone who has no choice, no options, no hope except what money might buy. Your pockets, empty now, lighter than air, mock your need, your desperation, your growing understanding that even shelter, basic shelter, comes with costs you cannot pay. Please, you whisper, the word barely audible, barely human. I'm sick. I just need. But his eyes, cold as winter stone, offer no mercy, no compassion, no understanding of anything except commerce. Transaction, the harsh mathematics of survival where sentiment is weakness, kindness is death, mercy is luxury no one can afford. He shakes his head, not unkindly, simply, finally, the gesture of someone who has seen this before. Who knows how it ends? Who will not risk involvement, will not offer help that might bring danger, might bring association with the doomed, the marked, the walking dead? Can't help you, he says, his voice flat, emotionless, carrying the finality of earth falling on coffin lids. Try somewhere else, but there is nowhere else. No other options, no other doors, no other possibilities. Just the street, the darkness, the growing certainty that night in this place brings horrors you cannot imagine, cannot face, cannot survive. You turn away, defeated, abandoned, left to face whatever comes with nothing but fever, weakened strength, and the thin hope that death, when it finds you, will be quick. Outside, the sun touches the horizon, begins its final descent into night. The sky darkens, not gradually, not gently, but swiftly, suddenly, as if some great hand draws a curtain across the world, across hope, across the last pretense that civilization exists here, that law matters, that mercy is possible. The first stars appear, not the gentle lights of home, but harsh points of light that seem to watch, to judge, to count down the moments until darkness falls complete and the real predators emerge. The things that wait, that hunt, that feed on weakness, on sickness, on strangers who thought they could survive in a world that kills the soft, the unprepared, the foolishly brave. You walk, because standing still means dying, means giving up, means letting the fever, the fear, The growing certainty of doom drag you down into surrender. Each step is effort, conscious decision, victory over the weakness that spreads through your body like poison, like ice, like the slow recognition of defeat. Behind you, footsteps, not echoing your own, not matching your rhythm, following, tracking, staying just out of sight, but close enough to let you know, to let you feel that you are being hunted, being stalked, being driven toward some conclusion you cannot see but can sense, can smell, can taste in the metallic air of approaching night. A scream somewhere in the darkness, high, desperate, cut short too suddenly, too finally. The sound of someone learning, too late. What nightfall brings in this place, what emerges when honest folk hide behind locked doors and pray for dawn. The echo dies, swallowed by silence more terrifying than any sound, silence that promises, threatens, guarantees that you are next. Your cough comes again, violent, uncontrollable, bringing blood to your lips, bringing weakness to your knees. The sound carries, announces your location, your condition, your vulnerability to whatever listens, whatever hunts, whatever waits in the growing shadows for opportunity, for weakness, for the perfect moment to strike. The buildings around you seem to lean inward, to close, to create a funnel that channels you toward some predetermined destination, some waiting trap, some final confrontation with the truth about this place, this time, this world where kindness is death, where weakness is invitation, where being different, being sick, being unprepared means becoming food for things that emerge only in darkness. You think of night at home, safe streets, electric lights, police patrols, the comfortable certainty that help is always available, always close, always just a phone call away. The luxury of walking after dark without fear, without weapons, without the constant awareness that every shadow might hide death, every sound might herald doom. Here, night means terror, means hunting season, means the emergence of everything civilization tries to suppress, to control, to deny. The veneer of law, of order, of human decency falls away like a discarded mask, revealing the skull beneath, the truth beneath, the reality that in this place, in this time, only the strong survive, only the armed endure, only the ruthless see morning. The last light dies, snuffed out like a candle, leaving you in darkness so complete, so absolute, that you might as well be buried, entombed, already dead and simply waiting for the earth to cover you. The sounds begin, howls, screams, footsteps that don't quite sound human voices that carry undertones of hunger, of madness, of things that should not exist but do. here, now, in the hunting ground that night has made of this place. You run, or try to, your fever-weakened legs carrying you nowhere, toward nothing, away from everything, seeking escape that does not exist, safety that cannot be found, hope that died with the sun. Behind you, closer now, the sounds of pursuit, of hunger, of things that smell sickness, that taste fear, that know, with predator certainty, that you are alone, defenseless, perfect prey. Your breath comes in gasps. Your heart pounds with fever and terror. Your vision blurs with exhaustion and growing despair. This is how it ends. Not with sunrise, not with rescue, not with any of the gentle conclusions you had imagined but with darkness, with violence, with the terrible understanding that you never had a chance, never could have survived, never should have tried. The Wild West, this harsh land, this unforgiving time, saves its cruelest lesson for last, teaches you, finally, definitively, that some places, sometimes, some worlds are not meant for people like you, people who believe in mercy, in fairness, in the possibility that tomorrow might be better than today. The footsteps stop. The sounds cease. The darkness holds its breath. And in that moment of terrible silence, that pause before the storm, you understand, with perfect clarity, with final certainty, that the Wild West has won, has claimed another victim, has proven once again that civilization is veneer, that safety is illusion, that in the end, in the final darkness, only the strong survive, and you were never strong enough, never hard enough, never willing to do what survival demands, what this world requires, what staying alive costs. The darkness closes in complete, final, absolute, and with it comes the understanding that you would not, could not, will not survive a single day in the Wild West, not even, not ever, not one sleep now. Gentle dreamer, in your safe bed, in your warm room, in your protected world, where morning always comes, where help is always close, where the Wild West exists only in dreams, only in stories, only in the grateful understanding of how blessed, how fortunate, how impossibly lucky you are to live when you live, where you live, in the soft embrace of a civilization that protects the weak, shelters the sick, and keeps the darkness forever at bay. The end.